Well, here we are. It is Friday, March 15th, 2024, and this is the weekly video. We do these every Friday. We take a look at the auction market, what's going on in the antique and Asian art market in particular, and check on prices, check on upcoming sales and whatnot. And there's a lot going on right now, as you all know. The Asia Week is kicking off in just a couple of days on the 18th when Bonhams has their sale of the Metropolitan Museum collection, and then Christie's comes along with their big sales, and Sotheby's got a sale as well. And then there'll be more from Sotheby's in Hong Kong when they do they focus on New York. They do a big sale in New York, but they're really big sales in the spring. They actually run in Hong Kong. And we'll be doing a video on those to show you some of the highlights. There's some amazing looking things in there that should do very, very well. And there are a number of great lots, of course, in New York also. And the only video we haven't done yet, we've done one for the Doyle sale. I've mentioned it a number of times, the Friedman and Hindman sale is coming up on around the 26th of the 7th. We'll get to that next week. But right now we're focusing on what's happening around here. And there's a lot of sales happening sort of around the New York area, of course, because of Asia Week. And we're going to take a look at some results right now and some things that are going on and talk a little bit about the Heritage Auction. Because they've got a sale and there's some problems. A number of people, I'm going to talk about it because a number of people have asked why we haven't done more with Heritage. And I'm going to get to that toward the end of the video, or in the middle of the video. But first, I want to talk about a couple of lots that are coming up that I noticed that are on the global pages. So if a global member page or if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can get to those pages. There's some lots I noticed in there, and these are from Clements. And they're misdated. They've misdated a whole bunch of 18th century pieces as being 20th century. I don't know why. They're calling them a Republic period. And one of them is this vase. And many of you that collect Chinese export porcelain will recognize it right away. This is not a Republic period vase. They didn't do really reproductions of Republic pieces in the, of 18th century pieces in the Republic period. It wasn't something they did. They're doing reproductions right now, though, of export wares. And I'm going to talk about that next time we do sort of a general video and get into that, because I found a lot in an auction. I found actually multiple lots of brand new armorial wares that look pretty convincing, but they've got them stacked up in the way they're selling. They're not selling. They're not trying to. They don't claim that they're old, but boy, they look old. And we're going to talk about that. But this vase is in there, and this is a very nice example. And what I noticed about the gilding is quite intact. The famille rose decoration on it's very, very good. It's a nice little vase. And it's I forget, it's about 11 inches tall. Let me check it here. 11 inches high, and it's got a $200 to $400 estimate. Of course, it's probably worth $600 to $800. And this sale is on March 23rd. They've got that coming up, and then they've got this a pair of pseudo tobacco leaf plates. For some reason, they thought these were Republic period. I don't believe they are. They certainly look to be 18th century to me. They're very nicely done. They look like they're in pretty good shape overall, with a $100 to $300 estimate. That's sort of a no-brainer. They measure 9 inches in diameter, and here you see they've dated them as late 19th or early 20th century. And it may be they're doing that just because the plates look like they're in such good condition. I suspect maybe they've fooled themselves into or have been tricked by their appearance, because all these pieces are in very, very good shape, but they all look okay to me. And then there's this is also Clements? Yeah, this is also Clements. They have this listed as early 20th century or Republic also, and clearly these are mid-19th century vases with those nice birds on the necks. And they've provided some good photographs. If you click in, you can look at the foot rims and see very obviously that these are not new. Not 20th century, but those are clearly mid-19th century feet on that vase. And the estimate's fairly reasonable, $800 to $1,200, which is a little bit low given what they actually are and their size. They're 21 inches tall. The pair should sell for $1,600 to $2,400, but they're good looking, and because they're misdated, you might have a shot at them. All right, I always look around for things that are misdated. And then there's this. This is a set of bowls that sold. This was at the Freeman-Hindman sale the other day. Actually, it was today. Excuse me. It was earlier today. And they had a general auction with some nice export wares in them. And you had this, a cup and a bowl. a big punch bowl, a mug, and another cup. Now, the punch bowl had restoration to it, but the whole lot only went for $600. So that was a pretty good buy. And then there was this, sort of a mixed lot with 18th century and early 19th century, marked tea caddies, cups, and so forth. There's a big blue and white plate in there, a helmet creamer, a cup and a saucer, and so forth. Nice little lot, sold for $500. That's not a bad buy at all either. And these are great if you're collecting, because you can fill in holes in your collection, and then you can sell off the rest and make a profit. So a lot of people I know have built very nice collections, and all they do is they not all they do, but they focus looking for large lots that have bits in it that they want. They buy the lot, they pull out the little piece they want, and then they sell the lot back into the market. And 9 times out of 10, they come very close to breaking even, or they actually make a profit on it if they split the lot up and sell it that way. Anyway. This was in the sale as well. And one of these had been restored, but these are very big jars. Sepia decorated. They're 20 inches tall, which is quite large for this form of jar. And one of them had restoration to it. The other one had minor bits here and there, but they're very attractive, beautifully done. And the restoration looked like it was excellent on this. And I don't know what the degree of restoration was, but in the end, they sold for just $1,500. And the one perfect jar was worth more than that. So again, it was a very, very good buy. And then hopping along to the last of it was this big dinner service. And I think this was a very smart buy for somebody, especially if you're a dealer. The whole lot went for $11,000 plus premium. But there's 102 lots in the lot. 102 items in the lot. And it's kind of funny that they didn't show more of the pieces. They kind of should have. Because people looking at this at a glance are going to think there's 8 or 9 pieces in the lot. They may not pay too much attention to the description and take a pass on it, seeing the $10,000 to $15,000 estimate. But when you look down at how many pieces there are, and you got to assume each piece is on an average going to be worth at least $100, and there are a number of pieces in there that are worth $300, $400, $500. So do the math on it. There's a profit in that if you're a dealer. And if you're a collector, or you're looking for a beautiful dinner service for your house, it's a really good deal. All right. So that's sort of an interesting turn of events. And then hopping along over to the sales that are coming up, I wanted to talk about, this is the Heritage Auction. And I didn't put much of it on the global pages because they did a really abysmal job dating and describing things. And there was some horrific inaccuracies in the descriptions. They had some pieces in there that should have had really big estimates and had very small estimates, and other pieces have big estimates that they shouldn't. And there's no provenance really given on any of the pieces. They need to. If anybody at Heritage sees this video, you got to work on your Asian department a little here and provide a lot more information than you do. There are a few nice things in here. I'm going to go over a couple of them. These are on the global pages already. Is this fairly nice celadon glaze molded lotus form dish? It's got on the back, it's got a Chin-Lung mark on it. It appears to be from probably late in the period. It's a provincially what they call a provincial mark. This wasn't meant for the palace, but they used the mark anyway. And if it's not Chin-Lung, it's early Jiajing. But I think it probably is Chin-Lung period. And the estimate, though, is a little steep. The plate is, what is this, 8 or 10 inches in diameter? 10 3/4 inches in diameter with $1,000 to $1,500, a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate, and a $1,000 opening bid. So I'll be curious to see if that gets going, because I think $1,200 to $1,500 probably about what that plate is worth, but we'll see. And then there's this iron glazed or rust iron glazed hexagonal hoof-form base. I thought this was pretty nice, but big opening bid on this with a $4,000 to $6,000 estimate. They're dating it to Chin-Lung. Now this had been acquired from Vermeer and Griggs, the Asian art dealer who started. Actually, Mr. Griggs started the company out in California, and his life partner, as they say, Vermeer. After Griggs passed away, he moved it to Atlanta, and then Mr. Vermeer has since passed on. And my general impression is the pieces that were sold when the sticker says Vermeer and Griggs Los Angeles, I generally find the dating on the pieces a little more accurate than when it was just Mr. Vermeer doing it on his own. That's just my opinion. But this was a nice example. The color looks good. Big estimate. How big is this vase? Well, it's a pretty good sized vase, I guess. It's 14 inches tall, so it may get there. But you know, it would have been, I think, wiser for the auction house to maybe estimate it at, you know, 2,000, 1 to 2,000 with a $1,000 opening bid. Auction houses have to, as we've shown many times, estimates mean nothing. The idea is to get people in the game. You want people to participate. You don't want people to pass on a lot, because the opening bid in the mind of the potential bidder is already right where what the piece is worth. And in this case, $2,000 plus buyer's premium puts this up at around $2,600 right off the bat. And to me, that seems to be pretty close to what this pot is worth. Maybe it'll bring more. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but those are just my impressions. Low estimates, low reserves, sell stuff. All right, and until people get that through their head, they're going to keep having problems. And then there's this Celadon bottle vase. It looks pretty good. It's pretty large. The bottom of it does look like an 18th century vase. But again, $2,000 opening bid, $4,000 to $6,000 estimate. It measures, let's see, how big is this? It's pretty big, 20 something inches tall. So that should do okay. I like the molding on the bottom. They're not unattractive pieces. I just think they're a little over aggressive on their estimates, and I think they're under informative in their descriptions. They really should push consigners to give them more information about where the pieces come from, if they can. Or it makes a huge difference in the results. And this sale, by the way, is on March 20th, so it's in about a week from now, a little less than a week from now. And then there's this. This is a nice little thing. It's a Chinese sort of a peach bloom water pot that's been modified in the West and given a jade top. This is the kind of thing that you'll see pieces like this that were done by the famous Yamanaka company that we've discussed so many times, and other companies. This was a fad back in the 1920s, especially in the 1930s, of refitting these pieces with gold and putting jade tops on them. Originally, this, of course, didn't look anything like this. The water pot appears to be a 19th century example. I don't think it's older than that, judging by the color. The opening bid for $1,000 with a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. We'll see if it gets going. I'm always curious to see how things really do after I say things, because you can't be right every time, but we try. And then there's the large Satsuma jar. Now this I thought was great, and I don't think the starting bid is bad because it's very big. This thing is 24 or 5 inches tall. The heck is it? 24 inches tall. That's a big piece and very wide and very, very beautiful, quite striking in its overall appearance. I like the rondelles on it. I like the gold background. The bottom of it is signed. Very attractive. It looks like it's in great condition. It's got a $4,000 to $6,000 or $4,000 to $5,000 estimate. It should, to my mind, it should bring $3,000 or $4,000, I would think. But we'll see. Time will tell. It's always fun to see what things actually bring, because the prices and areas of interest are always shifting so much. All right, and this is the rest of the sale. And if you go through it, I didn't put many of the pieces on the global pages because I couldn't be confident in a lot of the descriptions or in the photographs. But some of them are fairly good. But I may have left a couple out. But I was being very conservative because I don't get a lot of confidence in what they're doing down there in Texas. But there's a few nice things. But one of the things that caught my eye, that they really, this is sort of a key. I think it's the next picture here. No, we'll go back a second. Hold on. This jar right here, this two jars that are coming up in this sale, and this is the kind of thing that really drives me crazy. It says a near pair of Famille Rose covered vases. Okay, and then you look at them, and it's obvious they both are yen vases that have been cut almost in half. All right, these had big upper sections on them at one point. They are slightly different. The upper borders are different. They're quite similar in general appearance, but these vases were severely cut down at some point. And if you look at the top of them, they don't show the top very well. There you go. You can see it, but this one's got a big crack in it. But that's all cut down. And in the description, they don't say they're cut down. They just say that one of them has a hairline in it and some fritting here and there. This is the kind of thing that they should know. And when you have a big unglazed rim on this form, you know this form generally goes up and around and then goes up and goes into a big trumpet mouth. And the estimate is $1,000 to $1,500. So they're not giving it a huge estimate, but they're not saying in the description that it's been cut in half, basically. And I think this is the thing that shakes my, taking anything they say with any seriousness. And then you have these, and they're dating these as Marken period Guangzhou cups, and clearly they're not even close. They didn't make these in the Guangzhou period in this form. They're sort of silly contemporary copies, and but they're claiming they are. And then they take in a lot of just blatant fakes. And auction houses, if you want to build a reputation, you have to say no to people, even if they're giving you 5 good things. Do not take the copies, because you'll end up with people like me talking about your auction and smashing it to bits. And I'm not really trying to hurt them, but boy, this is a copy. Okay, it's a copy of a Jiajing type of garlic mouth vase. They're not dating it. They're not giving any information on it. No provenance. No nothing. They're not saying anything about it other than the height and a general description, and saying it has a blue circle mark on the bottom, with an $800 to $1,200 estimate and a $400 starting price. It's new. All right, and the same goes for this. A Chinese blue and white tripod sensor. Okay, how old is it? Where did it come from? They're not saying, because it's a modern copy. And if you flip it over and look at the bottom like this, it's pretty obvious. That's not what they look like. When you see these old sensors, incidentally, always look at the bottoms of the feet. And if you're wondering about the age, and there's no wear on there, and they've been polished out by a lot of use over the centuries, be very leery of it. It's just natural wear. You look for that. There was a guy years ago that used to talk about it all the time. He called it software. And these are the little bits of things that happen to porcelain just in daily use, just from being in houses, being moved around, slid on tabletops, put into closets. Somebody with a ring picks it up and it puts a tiny, tiny microscopic scratch in the glaze, that kind of thing. Eventually they'll start grinding the feet down on these things to make them look old and just further make it difficult. But for right now, they're not doing that yet. I've seen it on a couple of pieces, actually, but not that often. Anyway, this is, in my opinion, I don't have any confidence in it having any age. And then you have these, which shouldn't have been let in the sale at all. And they admit these are modern. They say these are modern, triple gored. They're preposterous in their appearance. They're I guess they're decorative, but they've got an $8,000 to $12,000 estimate on these with a $4,000 opening bid. And this has to be a classic case of the consignor demanding it, because I can't imagine any auction house accepting these with this kind of starting price and that kind of estimate. Now, it doesn't mean some nut won't come along and buy them, but as far as an antique goes, no antique collector is going to touch these. And maybe an interior decorator has to have them or something. They're fairly big. They're what are they? 30 inches tall? Yeah, they're 2.5 feet tall. They're not enormous, but they're 2.5 feet tall. I don't know. We'll see what they do. I don't see anybody shelling out that kind of money for them. I just don't. So Heritage, work on your game a little bit, I guess. The days of getting away with this stuff are coming, I think, to a close. I watched a little bit of a couple of other auctions that were going on today that I'll talk about next week. And there are a number of auction houses. They get great things, but they take fakes. And they have to stop doing that. And these are, fairly well-regarded auction houses. I don't understand it. All right. Now, use the report card on the site. Okay, as far as the report card goes on the global pages, just in case you're asking, because somebody asked me why Heritage has a D- rating, and this is why. And it's going to be an F, I think, before the end of the year. And I'm just going to tell people don't buy there. It's a gamble doing business with them at this point, in my opinion. All right. That'll probably make the phone ring later today from somebody. At any rate, here we go. This was some of the results from eBay last week. They had a lot of things on there. By the way, stick around because I'm going to show you some of the things that are going to be on the newsletter page this week, because there is a ton of stuff being put up. Larry, I think, has 60 lots up by himself. Chamberlain Antiques put up a sale the other day, last week, after I think it went up on Friday night after the last newsletter was posted. He's got a bunch of things. There's a whole lot of things. I think there's upwards of 150 to 200 items that'll be on the newsletter page this week. And if you're not familiar, I'll just go back for a second. If you're not familiar with the newsletter page, on the website we have bidamount.com. There's a link at the top on the menu up here. It says newsletter page. And every week we post things on here, things that we find on eBay that look okay, that we sort of check out before we put them on there. Obviously, we don't want anybody buying knockoffs. And these are just some of the lots that are already on there. So do check that page out, and if you want to be notified about it when it gets updated each week, click the sign up form here. Just put in your email address. You don't have to give us any other personal information, and we'll send a notification out to you. All right, now, this little Kong-formed glazed vase, late 19th, early 20th century, but it had nice molded relief decoration on it. I liked it. And it was not a wild thing, but almost like Feiwa-ware, I guess is what it would technically be. And it sold for $356. It was about 10 or 11 inches tall, perfectly reasonable buy. I don't remember if it was drilled. No, it wasn't drilled on the bottom. But just a nice late 19th, early 20th century vase, sort of the end of the Qing dynasty, maybe the beginning of the Republic period. It's very hard to tell, but nice looking pot. And then down to this is the fan. Oh, this Chinese fan. I'm mentioning this today because the seller has it listed. There's a fan. Oh, no, the fan is coming up. It's going to be at the end. He's got it listed as 18th century, and it's not. It's a 1820s example. But I'll get to that in a second. This was that fan last week that had the silver and enamel filigree work on it that I thought was very, very nice. And these always do pretty well. And this one did fine. It sold, and it had a little rip in the top, but it sold for $1,327. And apparently it didn't have the box, which was too bad. If it had the box, it would have probably brought another $500 or $600. If you're ever in a house or at a sale or anything, and you're buying a fan like this, check if the box isn't readily visible. Ask around, look around for the box, because very often, especially local small auctioneers, country auctioneers, you might find if they do box lot sales, you might find the fan being tagged over here, and you might find the box that went with the fan stuffed into a sort of an odd miscellaneous lot, somewhere else in the sale. And I've seen it happen many, many times. And if that's the case, you might you can either buy both lots, or you might mention it to the auctioneer before the sale and say, hey, that's the box that goes with that fan. Could you put them up together? And most auctioneers are more than happy to do it. So keep that in mind. Anyway, $1,327. And then moving over to this, the Femi-Vare 39 centimeter or about 17 inch tall, sort of a Kangxi revival vase. It was very pretty though. It was nicely done. The butterflies were well decorated. The flowers looked good. The body was nice and white, but you'd expect like on original Kangxi pieces, it wouldn't have a significant blue tone on the pieces and a outside decoration. And this did pretty well. It sold for $930, which is fine. Good price. And then over to this is that little, hold on a minute, we're going to scroll down. I forget how big this thing is. It's a little archaic sort of Jus form thing. It's based on a very early bronze, but this was done in cloisonne. And they dated it they thought it might be 17th or 18th century, late Ming. To me, it looks much more likely to just be straight up mid to late 18th century, somewhere in there. But somebody may have found an example somewhere else that's dated a little earlier, but somewhere around there. I'm not going to make a big issue of that. That's perfectly reasonable dating idea. Just say late Ming to early Qing, leave it. $2,313. Nice looking thing, and it looked like it was in pretty good shape for one of those, because those things are very prone to getting their handles bent and getting their legs bent because people drop them, because they're not very heavy, they're sort of light. And then this was that great little book on the Portuguese Museum. Somebody bought it. I had it on the newsletter page. I was so pleased to see it sold. I don't know which one of you got it, but that's a very, very good book, very reasonably priced. And so is this book by Louise Allison Court, Joined Colors, Decoration of the Meaning of in Chinese. That was first published in 1993. I have that book. It's a great little book. If you ever have the chance to get it, get it. It's not a huge book. It's not some 500-page tube, but it's full of information. It's like one of Rose Kerr's book, where it's sort of not too many pages long, but the amount of information that she can cram into a page, and Allison Court can do it. Louise Allison Court could do it too. They get a lot of information in one paragraph. They really know how to write. And then this is the last thing that was sold last week for those of you for the Kutani Club. A nice Kutani charger, 18 inches in diameter, beautifully done, and it looked like it was in fairly pristine condition. It was a late Meiji period example, very, very finely done, with this wonderful sort of exploding flowers in the flower cart, very classical Japanese scene. You see these on woodblock prints fairly often, and it didn't go for the world. It brought a reasonable price, $345. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. That's a buy it now. That hasn't sold yet. Oh, never mind. Back up. I thought it sold for $345. I thought it was very reasonable. It is very reasonable. If you want to buy a piece of Kutani, I'll leave it in there for this week. It's 18 inches. That's not a bad price for that. Gee whiz. Excuse me. My error. Nice looking thing. I thought that, I glanced at it quickly and I saw it and I said, oh, it sold for $345. That's not too bad. Very reasonable. It's the asking price. So some one of you out there that collect these, I know there's a bunch of you, should grab that. It'll be on the newsletter page this week. And this is the fan that's coming up in this week's sale. And I'm just pointing out, I generally, if somebody says something's 18th century and I know it's 19th century, I don't put it on the newsletter page, because they got the dating backwards. If they say it's 19th century and I believe it's 18th century, I'll put it in. But if it's the other way, if they say it's older than it really is, I won't. That's sort of the rule book around here. Because if somebody has a 19th century piece and it's clearly Ming, I'm going to include it as potential buy of the week. And this is a nice little fan, made probably around 1820 to 1840, somewhere in there. It's up to $55. There is a box with this one, and we'll see what it does. Should bring $600 to $700, somewhere around there, maybe $800. Who knows? And then this is one of Migolari's offerings for the week. This is why on the pages. Nice big bowl, very large bowl. He's had a couple of big bowls lately. I like the decoration on this a great deal. It's very, very elegantly painted. Light and dark blues. The interior looks good, but the exterior is wonderful. And it's a good size, as I recall. Was it 9 or 10 inches in diameter? 28 inches, 10 inches in diameter. It's a nice bowl, and it looks like it's heavily potted, so you could really use it. And the bidding is just up to, about $190 US and 155 British pounds. Should go for $600 to $700, somewhere around there. We'll see. And then this is also Migolari's little thing. This is interesting. It's an early bronze, Ming bronze, and it has a later wooden cover that's beautifully carved and a later wooden stand. But if you go through the images, click through them a little bit, you can see the bronze, and it has these relief mortals going around the outside of it. There's one picture of it in here. There we go. There's a few of them in here without the lid on it. There we go. Nice looking. And the patina looks very thick and untouched. So that's a nice object, I think, and I like the wooden lid on it. It's only up to $277 or something, and it closes in a few days. When does this close? I want to make sure I get this right. Ends on Sunday. There we go. Okay. And then this is a Juice 1499 Josh Chamberlain Antiques. Anybody that's been buying on eBay for any length of time know about him. And he's got some nice things up. He's got Chinese and Japanese things. He often mixes it up. And I like this charger very much. It's about almost 14 inches in diameter. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Do check it out. It's up to $130. Ought to bring $400 to $600, $500 to $700, somewhere around there, I suspect. And what else? He's got a bunch of things up. I think he's probably got 50 or 60 lots. As I said, Migolari's got 50 or 60 lots, so does Juice. And then there's this fine Chinese porcelain wall vase And it's now this is a late Qing to Republic example. I looked at it pretty carefully. It appears to be late Qing to Republic. It's got a chin-lung mark on the bottom. I think you can safely ignore that. But it's very attractively done. And if you don't ever plan on spending $100,000 or $80,000 to $100,000 for one of these, this is your chance probably to buy one for maybe 12 to 1800 or something like that, maybe a little more. But it's good looking. It looks like it's in good shape. Nice gilding, nice coral red ground, inscribed, all that stuff. It has all the hallmarks of the ones that from the Qianlong period that bring a bundle, and are highly collectible, highly collectible. You might, if you're interested in it, look into that. And he also has this very unusual sort of rectangular form, tapered edge cup and saucer with a handle. And it's an 18th century example. It certainly looks to be one, which is unusual because you don't see handles on cups and saucers from the 18th century very often, in general, except on some very, very late 18th century export wares. But this looks like it's a bit earlier than that. It's only up to $14 because I don't think people know what it is. The bottom of it has very, very clean white clay. But to me, this absolutely looks fine as 18th century. That work. The color, the shading of the blue, all that looks absolutely fine. It ends in 3 days. It'll probably jump, but there's nice. It's a nice little setup there. And then these is a big pair of vases in here, large, a pair of baluster vases. They are, let's check out the height on these. Josh height, yeah, 17 inches tall, so they're good size. And what are they up to? $167. They should bring $1,800 to $2,500, I suspect, somewhere in that range. Nice celadon ground on them. I like the Mandarin decoration, and the handles look to be in good shape. Check the condition report, of course, and all that, and whatnot. But they look good, and the shipping on it are pretty reasonable. Like from well, he's in New Hampshire. To here isn't that far. It's $96, but it's 2 big jars. They're going to require 2 boxes, so it's double postage. So you're talking about $45 a vase to get them shipped, which to here, I mean, I wouldn't drive all the way. I mean, I'd love to see Josh, but I wouldn't drive all the way up to New Hampshire to pick them up if I get them shipped for $90 to here. All right, and then over to this, he also got a nice pair of Ming roof tile monkeys, and I love these. I think these are terrific. Late Ming, made probably in the Guangdong province. Where they do all the tile work, and these would go on the roof, and you have 2 monkeys. Those are fantastic. Those are absolutely fantastic. And how tall are they? Usually they're 8 or 10 inches, 10 inches tall. There you go. Nice looking. They should be worth $700 or $800 a piece, I would think. How great is that? A pair of aubergine monkeys, and they're only at $85 right now. So check those out. Those will be on the newsletter page. And then the celadon, everybody knows I like these vases. I love this color combination. Celadon ground with white enamel flowers on it. This is a big vase. It caught my eye. I think it was like 19 inches or something. Hold on, I'm going to double check. It stands 17.75 inches tall, almost 18 inches in height. This is a big vase. And the bottom, it looked to be in good shape. Check the bottom of it quickly. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's no hole in the bottom. It's fine. This should bring $1,400 to $1,800 when it's all said and done. But we'll see. And that's sort of what's all there is for the week. Like I said, there'll be a lot on the newsletter page this week, more than we typically have. And I think a lot of it's because there's a lot of people right now in America looking around at auctions, shopping around. I think a lot of dealers are trying to sell stuff because of the Asia Week interest. It's spring. It's a nice time to get some things sold. So check it out, and check out the auctions on the New York front. We did a couple of videos covering the Christie's, Sotheby's, and Bottom sales. Check those out. Check the catalogs, and it'll be fun to see. And then we'll be back, and we'll do a sort of a post-auction autopsy and have a look at the results. And I spoke to Rick Cervantes yesterday at Doyle's, and he seems very happy about his sale. And he did a good job dividing it between the 2 days, so you don't have. I said to him on the phone, I said on the first day, sometimes auction houses, they'll load the first day with the really good stuff, and the second day will sort of be the bits and odds and ends and the oddball things that aren't worth much. And in his sale, they divided it pretty evenly, I think. So if you're sort of an interested buyer in good things, you're going to have to go both days, which is fine. It's fun to sit in auctions. It's fun to watch. All right. That's it for the week. Subscribe if you haven't so far, and we'll see you next time. Beginning of next week, we're going to be doing some videos. Okay. Bye-bye.